What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and this is going to be my breakdown of the new Engage banner, and we have got Rearmed Nel. So this has got the DLC characters and she is a blue infantry dragon and she is the Rearmed unit, so she's going to be providing the third arcane breath, and this is going to be a bit better than Feldstone in a lot of things. So Arcane Fel Arts has got minus on special cooldown, and it also gives you plus 14 to all of these stats just like Feldstone, and it also gives you the true damage based on 15% of your attack. Now this is the true damage which Feldstone is missing, and this is why I like this weapon a lot more, because nowadays we have got so much flat damage reduction that you need some kind of true damage, and Feldstone didn't have it despite all of its effects. Arcane Grima has it instead, and now Fel Arts pretty much combines the best of both weapons in my opinion, and you also have the flat damage reduction based on 15% of your own attack. So again, Feldstone has got completely pierceable damage reduction, whereas this weapon gives you the unpierceable flat damage reduction, and this is also applied on the AoE specials, so that is also helpful against Emblem Sigurd with a bit of support of the stone tile, for example, and it also gives you special charge +1 per attack, which we also have on the Feldstone, and you get it here as well. So it is going to be helping you trigger your specials easily, and you also get the preempt pulse. So this is going to be the special jump before your first attack, and she is going to be an amazing fodder unit with Dragon's Roar, which pretty much most of the dragons need. So I'm going to be making a full video going over the best users of this weapon and the kind of builds you can run with this weapon. So if you're a big dragon enthusiast, this is certainly the best dragon breath that we have got right now in the game. The only thing you're missing compared to Feldstone is the full null follow-up. So that's not going to be a big deal if you're a slow dragon, but if you're a fast dragon, you can try and outsource it, and she already comes with a skill that is quite solid for the dragons and gives you the null follow-up in your slot B. So she has got protective as her preferred slot A skill. I believe that's her Dragonstone in the icon. So for the foes in 3 rows and 3 columns centered on her, she inflicts -5 debuff and has the dull lull effect. So you could say it is the Omni -5 lull effect, which is really good for the support because a lot of units have the innate visible buffs that they cannot turn off. There's a lot of bonus doubler. So against that, this really helps you, and it also helps her as a tank, and then she's able to get +9 to all of her stats, and she also has the passive 50% damage reduction piercing, so you do not need any kind of magical null follow-up or anything of that sort. And if the foe is engaged, or if she wins the resistance check, then she gets extra flat damage reduction based on foe's attack in the combat. So keep in mind that this is based on foe's attack and not your own attack like Arcane Fel Arts. So this can actually be better in many scenarios because many of the nukes just debuff your attack to oblivion, like Attune Micaiah. Like she inflicts -50 attack on you, so your true damage and your flat damage reduction, that is scaling off the attack, gets reduced and then you die. So basing this off on the enemy's attack can help, but this is only going to be there on the first attacks of the enemies. So you need to make sure that you stack up on her speed so that she doesn't get doubled. And then she also has the scowl effect built in, which is good because she's not going to be able to run a scowl in the slot A, and you don't have to run even res wave D in the slot C. Of course, you could run that if you want double scowl, but usually it is a bit better to diversify your build a bit. And then if her HP is at or above 25%, and if the support partner of hers is not at full HP, or if Nel is in 2 spaces of any kind of ally that is not at full HP, then she's going to be getting +15 true damage on her special triggers. So this is not going to be including AoE specials, and it's pretty easy to do it with the ally support of maybe a unit like Resvalgar or Brave Bernie, New York Resvalgar, Rearmed Sonia, all of these units that do the friendly fire 1 damage on themselves. So that is going to be instantly activating this effect on Nel, and this is a global check. If you have an ally support unit, it only checks for an ally in 2 spaces if you do not have an ally support on the map. So 15 true damage is nice on the special because Arcane Fel Arts just helps you trigger your specials really easily. So it's not going to be all that hard to trigger Dragon's Roar and then try and kill the enemy with the special. I wish though they gave her the full damage reduction piercing on the special triggers if she was to have this kind of special spamming playstyle. So that's Nel, and she is a decent Omni tank, and she comes with a really good slot B skill for dragons. This is not available for the beast units, and this is just a better counter roar, way better counter roar. So Edge Scales is a slot B skill which gives you -4 speed, defense, and resistance debuff on the foe, and it also gives you true damage based on 15% of foe's attack. So like I explained before, taking in foe's attack is pretty nice as long as you're not debuffing the foe's attack into oblivion. And it also has the 10 flat damage reduction on the first hits, and it also makes it harder for the enemy to make a follow-up attack by 10 speed points. So we have seen this kind of effect a lot. This is like a rift effect essentially. And then you have got the speed based full null follow-up, which is amazing for the dragons. And now this is objectively better than magical null follow-up on these dragons. No reason to run that skill. This gives you flat damage reduction and also has the rift effect. So fast dragons definitely have a really nice tool. And then we have got Barricade, which we did see on Mythic Lorather, but this is on a rearmed unit, so you can easily give this to any kind of dragon or beast. And this is so good for the support because Emblem Celica Ring is extremely common, and in Arena you might be facing plus and Brave Felixes with Celica Ring, or Marnies with plus Celica Ring, or even Nidhoggers. So if you have someone like New Female Kana like me at plus and Merge, then this is going to be a really good upgrade. So if you're a dragon enthusiast, then this unit is amazing for you, and you should certainly be thinking about summoning for this unit for just the fodder on your units. The Dragon Breath and even Barricade is really amazing on many of the beast units. Of course, if you're an armor beast or dragon, then lower ground or higher ground is simply better than Barricade. So I do like Nel's fodder a bit more than Nel's combat. I think she is a decent tank with the flat damage reduction that she gets, but she doesn't have the X factor when it comes to tanking, just like any unfair thing essentially. And that is going to be the case with a lot of rearmed units because they are held down by the arcane weapon that's going to be given to every single unit. So they cannot make it too insane, whereas attuned units have their attuned skill slot, which doesn't have all that much of a competition, and then their weapon can be absolutely insane, like attuned Micaiah. So I wouldn't say that Nel is an absolute top tier of tanking. She is decent, but not at the top tier, and in my opinion, attuned Temera that comes out next month on the Hero Rises banner is a lot better when it comes to pure tanking, and her Sandstorm is also going to be hitting just as hard as Nel, if not harder. So that is the new rearmed unit here. I'm really happy that she is in the game. I do like her quite a lot, and her design and the fact that she brings this kind of amazing breath is fantastic, and I hope that I can get her for my plus 10 New Female Kana. And then we have got Rafal. So no Nil, but Rafal instead. And he is a red armor dragon because he's a static unit, I guess. So here he's gonna be near saving, and it's so hard to measure up to Duo Rhea, right after the Valentine's banner as a near save dragon. But anyways, he has got Fel Slaystone, which has got the -1 special cooldown, and he also has the effective damage against the cavalry foes. So this certainly helps him quite a lot against Emblem Sigurd, even though he does have the weapon strangle disadvantage. It also helps him against Brave Alphonse, who's the main bulky Axe Cavalier. So this kind of effective damage is going to be useful as a near savior. I'm not too sure about the far saving because the threats like Brave Bernie and then Ninja Lucina are not as bulky as those melee cavaliers. And then he gives some support to the allies in 3 spaces of him. So he has got that drive effect, and he gives guard and Omni +4 to all of these stats to those allies. And if those allies have any kind of engaged ring, then he gives an extra Omni +4 to their stats. And at this point, you probably know how unskippable Emblem Heroes are. So a lot of people are easily going to be having the engage rings. So this is going to be +8 to all of your stats essentially. And then for himself in the combat, he's able to get +14 to all of his stats. And it is counted as max 14 immediately if he triggers his savior effect. So he's always going to be having the +14 to all of his stats pretty much, as you're going to be having him in the backline. And he also gets the true damage based on 20% of his defense and the flat damage reduction based on 20% of his defense. And he also has the preempt pulse, but this is the Lagu style preempt pulse because it is before foe's first attack and not before your first attack. So this is a bit of a defensive preempt pulse, so this can help you with Armored Blaze, or even if you run something like Escutcheon. And he does have guard for himself, so not the most insane weapon. It's a bit more supportive, just giving the +8 to the allies. But there is a free to play unit in Sethith who gives +8 to all of these stats, has got the Dalol effect, and also gives you the 7 flat damage reduction. So it's kind of hard to measure up to that kind of support. But he is going to be decently bulky with the flat damage reduction. And then he has got Armored Blaze and Attack Defense Scowl 4. So finally we have got the attack defense version of it, because a lot of the near saviors would like to have it if they have enough resistance. It is still going to be having the resistance check, so this being an option is nice. And then we have got the attack resistance variant of the twin near save, and this is the first twin save I believe that is available in the normal summon pool, which is amazing because nowadays I would say that the twin playstyle with Armored Blaze, Armored Beacon, Flow, Sturdy Beast or Dragon's Roar is a lot better than Shield Fighter type of playstyle, because we are seeing units like Legendary Ira and also Valentine Edelgard who can try and counter that kind of playstyle, and then you're going to be dying. So it's a bit safer to run those specials with the twin save and run something like Wily Fighter or Slick Fighter in your slot B and just stack up even more flat damage reduction. So unfortunately, I would say that Rafal is just a decent near save armor dragon. He's not that impressive, and he's certainly not in the upper echelons of near saves, and especially not after Duo Rhea, who you can still pull for. So it's really hard for me to say that, pull for Rafal instead of Duo Rhea. Duo Rhea is infinitely better as a near savior. There's also Mythic and Near Nidhogre that you could also use as a near savior, and they're coming next month on a Sparkable A Hero Rises banner. And then Attuned Hector can also function as a really good near savior. Even Halloween Nagi can function as a really good near savior because of the inherent resistance that she has got against the AoE specials. So he's not in the top 5 near saviors, and he is basically the bare minimum you would expect out of a armor dragon, I suppose, or a premium armor dragon. Just nothing too special. So I'm a bit sorry about that, but unfortunately I have to, emphasize the power level difference I see between him and, everyone else, the 3 near saviors that we're going to be having access to in a span of 2 months, that you could also pull for. So he is here, and he does have the effective damage against the cavalry unit, so that is, I guess, his X factor, but it is not that big enough to set him apart. There are going to be a lot more units that are going to be attacking you at the melee range, and this is not going to be Cavaliers. There's going to be Legendary Ira, Brave Felix, a lot of those units, so you got to prepare for them. And then we have got the 4-star focus of this banner in Zelestia. I was really surprised. I didn't think she would be demoed. So she is a green mage flyer, and she did not get any kind of preferred weapon. We're still giving the underwhelming inevitable weapon to these units, and she has got Drawn Lantern Plus, which gives you the unhindered movement and the special charges status. So she gets unhindered movement as a flyer. I just want to talk to the person who thought this was a good idea. The only place where this unhindered movement works is if there's any kind of flame tile. You can pass that. This is a bit funny. This is the same weapon as Kadean Soren, who is so old. So you would definitely need to replace this with Arcane Truth Fire. That is going to be the best weapon. Green tomes, unfortunately, don't even get like a good, decent tome that he could run. For red, we have got Pumpkin Stem, even Devoted Basket, I guess. And blue just got Devoted Cup Plus from Valentine Hubert. But green has no alternate tome if you don't have an arcane weapon. And then she's got Moonbow, attack speed catch 3, which Zephy also had, and attack speed rain 3, so nice to have the rain scale. So you can try and plus and merge her, but it is going to be a bit hard to get her consecutively unless you summon on this banner where she is a 4-star focus. So you could try and plus and merge her on this banner itself if you are a big fan of her, but she's going to be needing a lot of investment, especially the arcane green tome, for just doing much better in the combat. And then we have got the new aided hero and aided Yunaka, and I really like the golden bird, but I think the cat aided accessory wins here. So she is an infantry colorless dagger, and because of being an aided unit, she brings the cat as an accessory which you could equip. And you can see her movement. Her warping is incredible. This is basically extra movement, but as warping. And this is not something that you could block with barricade or higher lower ground, because as you can see, she's facing Lorathor and she's still warping. She doesn't care. So she has got pass built in. She's another pass nuke after Legendmail Shez and Emblem Celica. So she's got Hidden Blade, which gives you -1 special cooldown, and at start of turn, she inflicts the Sabotage and the Discord status, along with -7 speed and defense debuff on the closest foes, and any of the foes that are in 2 spaces of them. And in the combat, she only gets attack and speed, and it is going to be 20% of her visible speed plus 6, so it is going to be anywhere from 17 to 19, and then she deals the true damage based on 20% of her speed. This does not get applied to the AoE specials, unfortunately, and she also has the special charges plus 1. So amazing effect with a conditional brave effect that she's got in her slotty. This means that she can trigger lethality a lot easily with the preempt pulse that she has got built in this weapon, and she also has the first follow-up attack preempt pulse. So this is the only first follow-up attack preempt pulse. This is not every single follow-up attack preempt pulse like Legendary Ira. So this is kind of like as built refined in a way. So this is incredible because she is going to be able to quad attack. This is going to be making her nuking potential so much better. And she does have lethality, and then she's got Train to Kill as her slotty skill, which has got the cat icon. So her weapon is not the most insane, but this slotty skill is. So she has got pass built in this weapon, so you cannot stop her from warping. She doesn't even need Emblem Celica Ring to warp. She doesn't need Emblem Sigurd Ring because she can get Kanto out of her slotsy skill. So she can easily just run the Lin Ring and fire off anytime. And if any kind of space in 2 spaces of her meets any of these following conditions, then she's able to move to that space or in 2 spaces of that space. And if she initiates combat, then she gets the Brave effect, which is going to be powerful. So the conditions are if there is an ally in 2 spaces, if there is any kind of Divine Vein in 2 spaces, which is easy to set up with Attuned Hector or the duo buttons of Hathrin, Fiorm, Rhea, stuff like that. Or if they have a defensive terrain, which is going to be happening a lot in, Arena Assault and Arena. And if it counts as a difficult terrain, which is the 3 tiles basically, then she also gets it. So she's going to be able to consistently get it. It does seem like it is, kind of conditional, but I would say that this is really consistent because one of these things is going to be present there. So she's going to be able to warp, you're not going to be able to stop her, and then she's going to be able to get the brave hit, and she is able to quad attack because of her speed. And with this skill, she's able to get plus 10 speed and attack in the combat, and she's got the full null follow-up and the passive 50% damage reduction piercing. So even on her hits, which do not trigger lethality, she is going to be able to pierce a bit of damage reduction, which is not that bad. So overall, I would say that she is a really good nuke. But I still think that Rearmed Layla is overall better because inflicting the undefended and the flash status is simply insane nowadays. it just has so much utility with the Lin ring and Emblem Lin herself. So from a utility perspective, I think that overall I value Rearmed Layla a bit more. But if we start to get more cleansing like Freyr, then Yunaka is definitely going to be on the top. Right now, Freyr is absolutely mandatory at the higher ranks. Otherwise, you're just going to be auto losing to like Rearmed Layla or Bright Embla even. So that is going to be Yunaka, and she has got full disarm, which just gives her the null guard effect, which she's missing from her Slothian weapon. So this way she's able to get the special charges out of her weapon, and she gets the null guard, which is really important. And then she can debuff the enemy speed and defense. This was on Winter Female Shez, and this is something that I think you should not be replacing with potent disarm, because you need full disarm for the null guard. The only skill, you know, that is worth replacing this with is Speed Taker, because that would give you extra true damage, which is going to be helping her nuke better, and you also get the null guard. So that is the only skill, but I think that this is better than potent disarm for her, and she already gets the quad attacks. And with this, she has the flexibility of triggering lethality twice in a single round of combat, or trying to trigger Miracle, charging it up if she faces any kind of hardy bearing tank, and that way she can survive. So that is also a way, but unfortunately Yunaka doesn't have enough true damage from her weapon or her preferred slotty skill. Like, she has some true damage based on her speed, but not insanely high. So that is going to be a trade-off if you run Miracle as a special. Like, Rune is able to run Miracle because his true damage is way higher. It's insane. But Yunaka is not on that level. And then she has got active Lookout. So this is going to be a side grade of Lookout Force. Lookout Force, I think, is still, you know, fine on units with any kind of supportive role like Air, Aether Raids, any kind of Dancer. But Active Lookout is better if you are a nuke yourself. So this gives you Canto 2, and then you get the distance swap, and you yourself and the allies in 2 spaces get the +4 attack and speed, and this has got Desperation built in. So that's why I say, if you're a nuke yourself, this is better than Lookout Force, but if you're just there for the support, it depends on your unit. It's a bit annoying how they just made this after a couple of months. But yeah, with this, she's able to have the quad attacks and get the Desperation effect, but there are going to be the hardy bearing Far Saviors to stop her, because the Desperation effect is quite common because of Emblem Lin, and if you do face that, then you can just run Ymir as a support to get the Miracle, or you could run Miracle on Yunaka herself. But if you do the latter, then she is going to be suffering with low damage output. So it really depends if you want to use a team slot with Ymir for nuking, or you want to use your special with Miracle and have someone else on that team slot. So this is in terms of nuking, and in Summoner Duels and in Aether Raid's defense, I think she's going to be amazing because of the warping that she has got. She's in fact going to be pretty annoying, and you would need to watch out for her because with Larather, you can just nuke with her. He just forces the assigned decoy on the enemies, and then Yunaka just warps in and kills things, and you cannot stop her with the warp blocking of Barricade or Higher Ground or Lower Ground. So not much you can do, and I think we're definitely going to be seeing her quite a lot in those game modes. So overall, I really like Yunaka as a nuke. At the first impressions, she might not look all that insane, and again, you're going to be comparing her to Rearmed Layla, who is just a force of nature because of the undefended status, but Yunaka is not there to support. She's there to kill things by warping and not getting stopped by anything that can, you know, try and stop the other warping nukes. So she is more of a nuke, and she can distance swap, so I guess that's a bit of the support, and she also debuffs, but I would argue that is more for her own killing. But that kind of debuffs don't really matter if the enemy team has got Freyr. He will simply cleanse it, and the cat accessory is absolutely amazing. This is peak. I don't know how they're going to be improving upon the next aided accessory. And this banner is going to be a bit hard to justify pulling on despite the really good fodder, because there is the Valentine banner, there's Duorea and Valentine Edelgard on that banner, and they are so powerful, especially Duorea. And then we have got our Hero Rises coming up, in March, and then we have an Emblem Hero at the end of March. So a lot of high value banners, so it's kind of hard to save. But if you're a spender, then you can of course try and get the accessory from Yunaka, and you could also get Nel for her fodder, which is top tier for any kind of dragon. Rafal is a bit underwhelming, unfortunately, so you could try and get him maybe for his twin save fodder. And we're also going to be having a Grand Hero Battle Unit, and that is going to be Griss. So I expect him to be a colorless mage because Marnie was green, Zephyr was red, Mauvier was blue. So from the 4 hounds, I think he is going to be the colorless one, and he's likely going to be slow, bulky mage with high attack. And I think that he's going to be having the Emblem Celica Ring warping built into his weapon. And he does use the Nova Tome, so maybe he could have it as a preferred weapon that can give him the brave attack. And as a slow mage, that would certainly help. And he likely will have some kind of piercing in his weapon to emulate the Emblem Celica Ring that he uses, similar to how Marnie emulates the Emblem Roy Ring with her weapon itself. So I'm expecting that. I hope they do it because I am eagerly waiting for him. I think he could be a really unique and fantastic unit because we've never gotten a colorless mage in the Grail pool, and he could be the first one. And I want to thank all of my team members for their constant support, and you can click the link on the screen right now to check out my breakdown of the new Valentine banner, and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as the Lantern Tome on Zelestia. So with that, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.